told her she overdid it. And she also put me after this wonderful performance that we just very sad. Actually, I did start teaching, and she did not mispronounce. It was 40 years ago. And when I started, one of my friends who'd been teaching for a couple of years said, you need to get a master's degree if you want to get anywhere in this business. Of course, his reasoning was all the wrong reason to be in this business. It was monetary, which I found out very quickly. If that's what you're after in this business, then you should probably try something else. And I'm not complaining about the pay, but I started in graduate school, and as many teachers will do, took night courses, weekends, summers. And I went to class at night and sat usually for an hour and a half, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. And as I sat there, absolutely bored to death, I asked myself, are you doing this to kids? And the answer was yes. I said, you have a greater responsibility than that. This is not a job that you should be doing if all you're doing is staying a couple of days ahead of kids, handing out a book, requiring the reading of a few pages, answering some questions, and coming back on a daily basis in a teacher-led discussion. And so I made up my mind, you need to do more than that. And I have done more than that. And sometimes that is getting out of the way so that students can learn something. Quite often, we adults think it's our responsibility to manage everything that everybody does. And it isn't. Sometimes it's to get out of the way. There are amazing minds here in 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old people in this community. Anyway, I started to travel. And my travels took me to a lot of places, and I always traveled in coordination with what I was teaching so that I could bring some real-world experience back to the students. If I fast forward just a bit to the more or less present, in 2003 I was accepted into a program in Washington, D.C. that was run by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. And it was a very powerful experience for me. I am obviously of the Vietnam War era, but not a veteran of the war myself. And a few years later, they provided an opportunity to go to Vietnam in 2007, and I went with some veterans. Interesting experience in itself, seeing the veterans react, and bitterly disappointed, because to the Vietnamese, the war is over. Over 80% of the Vietnamese people today are under the age of 30, or they were in 2007. And to them, the war is over, it's gone by. To us, it hasn't. And these veterans would go to where they had been in combat, and nobody knew them. They didn't recognize the area. Nobody even recognized them. But it helped them get over it. What I couldn't get over was, one day we went into an office of Project Renew, a Vietnamese organization in coordination with the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, where they were trying to reduce the effects of unexploded ordnance. I was absolutely blown away by what I heard in that meeting, that 350,000 tons of unexploded ordnance, not all ours, but the lion's share of it ours, still remained in Vietnam, and that people have died every year since April 30, 1975, when that last American helicopter left Vietnam. And I sat in there and I said, you need to do something about this. You don't need to listen to this and then go on to the next site. You need to do something about this. So I resolved to do something, and we started Students for Renew at VUHS to try to educate American kids about a very sad legacy of the Vietnam War. And we've done some fundraising. We've put together some activities. We're sitting on about $2,500 right now that we'd like to present in some kind of a publicized way to Project Renew in Vietnam. We use technology to stay in touch with the Vietnamese. We've Skyped with them. It isn't very comfortable. They're always the ones who are very cordial. And 12 hours difference between where we are and where they are. So for us, class time means for them midnight, but they've done it for us a couple of times. That has grown to other programs that we're doing. In 2 weeks, I'm taking a group of high school students to Belfast and Derry, or Londonderry, whichever be your preference, Northern Ireland, not only to take a look at the combative sides, the Unionists, the Republicans, but also to take a look at what that country is doing very well right now with conflict resolution, in the hopes that we can come back here and stop some of the problems in the local high school and in the community, the name-calling, the racism, the sexism, the homophobia, all the rest of it, because everything that the community has, the high school has. And as you all know, a lot of it comes from mama and papa's need. And that's quite a thing to combat. But we are making it